people get involved in your campaign. They say, you know what, I love this woman. I love what she's doing. She's fighting for us. This is John Villarreal reporting for Conservative New Media.
JDV's hanging around. Hey. We got a lot of stuff to get to, and sometimes we run out of time and the other stuff, and I guess in a way we should kind of tell people where this whole thing started. It was well over a year ago.
Yep.
It was the CD11 primaries as that was going on, and I was looking at the various candidates that I was looking at, and I was looking around for other conservative viewpoints. I stumbled across this thing, Conservative New Media, on the internet.
Yep.
Here's this guy sitting there with a tank top on, and he is hyper as all get out. You talk about it totally, and people have often accused me of being hyper.
Right.
People say Dave talks too fast. He moves. He's fidgety. He's dude, I am in slow motion compared to you, and I kind of was intrigued by that. Now,
and I feel like I've slowed down so much since I've gotten older. I feel like I'm an old man now. It's like
I used to have a sign up there, up overhead that back in the old days when Heather was the producer and we were still in the morning show. I had a sign up there that said "Slow down, breathe," and except that I misspelled "breathe" in the sign, so it said "breath," and someone had penciled in the E.
Of course, you knew that was going on.
It's funny because I'm a certified teacher. I've got my naval training. I went to naval instructor school. I've got my teaching thing from them. I'm a certified teacher.
Yeah.
Plus, I went to seminary, so I've taken public speaking classes. I feel like I'm good at it. But even I have to remind myself every now and then, if you think you're going slow down because you're probably not. And some days it gets out of trouble. But so I turned on and I don't even remember exactly how I got to Conservative New Media.
I know. I think you hit me. I don't know. Somehow you were one of my friends on Facebook, and you sent me an email. I was like, hey, you should come on at some point and talk about the CD11 race. And I had thought about I seriously considered running myself in that race, in that primary. And let's just say I ran up against the powers that be that, at the time, Tom Del Beccaro and some of the other people that were Mike Caparuso that was running the Contra Costa, executive director of the Contra Costa Republican Party, who basically, in my opinion, my personal opinion, blew me off.
Right.
Didn't return calls, and hey, we've got this guy, John Delarose, and he's great, and we're going to, he's got so much money, and this thing's going to be, the National Party's not going to put any money in this and whatever. And since I've I talk with those guys a lot, whatever, and Cappy and me are totally cool, whatever, like that. Tom and I have a love-hate relationship.
Don't we all?
Yeah, I know, exactly. And my feeling on that is I've said to his face, and I've said to everyone behind the scenes, like, you know what? He's a super self-promoter. I have no problem with that. He's out there hustling hard for the party. I have no problem with that. And as long as he, in my personal opinion, is quote-unquote legit, right? Does the right things and works hard for the party, that's great, baby. You do your thing, and it's all good, and we'll help you out all the way.
All right, let me ask you a couple of questions here, because people need to, get to know you a little bit. You do come across as brash.
Oh, totally.
But let's get to know a little bit about it, and we're locked in on time constraints today. So the first question is, are you a Republican or a conservative?
I'm a conservative first. Right. I'm a conservative first. I believe so strongly in the principles of what founded this country and what makes this country great and special and different than any other place in the world. And we're so lucky here, and like what Ben Franklin says, we gave you a republic if you can keep it. And I'm a big believer in that. I'm a big believer in Alexis de Tocqueville. I think anyone who hasn't read him really, really needs to read him about what it takes to keep, this republic thriving. Freedom, liberty, capitalism. I'm all about that. I'm all about Alex Smith. I'm all about Laffer. I'm all about all those types of things, and I'll fight for it. And I don't care if everyone in the world is against me, if all the quote-unquote insiders are against me, whoever those people are, I will fight for my last dying breath for the freedom, liberty, opportunity, and capitalist opportunity for everyone in this great country. And that's what I'm about, and I will never shut up.
Glad you're with us on a Monday episode of The Big Show. JDB hanging around. We're sitting kind of shooting the breeze about philosophically really where I want to go with this eventually is the upcoming elections, because you and I, while we are in
we talk about this all the time.
Right, we're in fundamental agreement on a conservative issue.
Right.
But many of my listeners, many of your subscribers, viewers, those kind of things, we're facing a dichotomy here, which is I am strongly against voting for a candidate, actually voting voting against another candidate. In other words, I'm being told by the Republican Party that I have to vote for Meg because she's better than Jerry. And I'm done with that. I am done with that mentality. Now, if Meg wants to give me a reason to vote for her, that's fine. But so far, in my opinion, has not done so. Now, bringing it down a level to the senatorial race, you're heavily involved with the Carly Fiorina race.
Yep.
I have admitted on the air I did not pay as much attention to that as I did to some of the other races. I've got to get up to speed on that. Let's play a little game here. Surrogate-wise, convince me to vote for Carly. Tell me why she is a conservative and how she fits my bill, and why my listeners shouldn't see her as just another person trying to buy their way into a senatorial seat.
Okay, I will totally do that. But let me do that by way of some other stuff that I think will help answer a lot of these questions. And let me go back. So I come in here and you hit me up a year ago, whatever, talking about the show, this and that, and I look at this, and it's been a while since I've been on radio, whatever, and as I told the listeners when I sat in, they can look at that or whatever, look at the videos that are up. I was named, kind of a prodigy of radio, and I've done some big things on radio, and it's been a while since I got on here, and I'm like, well, why do I need to go to Modesto and whatever, and, maybe I can do this to help for Brad, whatever. And the more I looked at your show and listened in, I'm like, wow, that's a really good show, and I really like where he's going with this, and I thought that you had a lot of talent. And when I actually came in here and saw the vibe that we had together, I'm like, this really works, and this is a lot of fun. And I had a master plan. I always had a master plan that I laid out. Now my little brother Paul, who does conservative media, was like, wow, this is brilliant. Because I always had a plan for what we were going to do with conservative media and how big and huge it can be and how important it can be. And that's where I'm going with this. With all this stuff, as we talked about. I don't care one way or the other, at the end of the day, about any one particular candidate. I don't think any one particular candidate is going to save the day or whatnot. Maybe a presidential candidate. Maybe someone like a Palin or a transformational figure like that. And as the left thought with Obama. I care more about the platform, and I care more about the values, and I care more about educating people, like what you do with Constitution Thursday. Like what you do out there when you go and you do the book stuff like that, or what Beck is doing. And I went through a whole list of people who I thought were doing some important stuff. So, for me, it's like I think that I do the best interviews of candidates that are out there, certainly on YouTube and whatnot. I think people see that. I think what people like about what we do, and first of all, as you know, with your show and what we do, a lot of what we do, not that we don't believe it or whatever, it's for entertainment value. It's to get people, I'm the kind of guy that can get people to watch a 9-part series of Is There a God or Not? And I'm not talking like old fogies or professors. I'm talking about 13-year-old kids, 17-year-old kids, 18-year-old kids. And you have to be able to do that.
And that's an audience you need, because that's the future. That's the future of conservatism right there.
Absolutely. And what we're trying to do now is I don't trust either the Democrats or the Republicans, and I'm not like one of those like way outside guys, whatever like that. I think there are some great people in the Republican Party. I've always been a voter in the Republican Party, and if I ever ran for office, it would be as a Republican. But I believe what Rush says and what Reagan and some others have talked about, we need to reform the Republican Party. And as I've always said, I shoot straight. Politicians, people who run parties, in my personal opinion, most of them, they want power, they want control, they want to make money, and they don't want anyone else taking their spot. A lot of people that want to be quote-unquote pundits, there's only so many slots on Fox News or wherever else, and they don't want anyone else taking those slots. And similarly, most politicians, they're little actors with scripts, and they want to get elected, and they're going to stay and do anything to get elected. That's when people were hitting me on this other stuff the other week, and maybe we get into that, maybe we don't, because it's our first time that we've been together, and we can talk about that or not. But like about professionalism and that. Dude, are you kidding me? You're talking about politics. You're talking about people that go to Iowa every 4 years and go do the pig farming and the pig calls and go out there hunting and dropping their G's, and they do that to get elected.
I hate that.
Right? It's a scam. And so, like, whatever. We need good. Look, that's a system, and people need to win elections, and we need good people in there, and it is important. And I'm not trying to like say I'm above that or whatever. It is important. But ultimately, what is most important? Right? Well, let's work backwards from that. If we had a public and a population that knew as much as you do now about the Constitution and about conservative values, or as much as I do about those things or the law or whatever it is like that, how many bad elections would we have going forward if everyone knew what we knew?
Well, argumentatively, you'd have just as many, because the one thing I have learned throughout this whole study and throughout this whole thing is that people don't change. That's Dave's third law. People don't change. They do the same things for the same reasons with the same results. They just allow themselves to convince themselves that this time technology will be different and the world has changed, things are different. Last year, Paul Ryan, who is the rising star of the Republican Party,
got the big plan, the young gun,
admitted that he didn't know that you couldn't pass an ex post facto law when it came to the AIG thing. He didn't know it wasn't constitutional.
Yeah, that's
now,
bad.
to his credit, he's come back and said, okay, I didn't know that. Now that I know that, fine. But how many other congressmen did? So I don't know that it would change fundamentally. There would still be mistakes. There would still be bad elections. There would still be salmon chases in the cabinet, as there were under Lincoln. There would still be bad people who are not competent and who are there for the wrong reasons.